You were sweet and loving the whole time. Yeah, what about the memories that were taken from you?
Most are lost forever. Some may creep back into my mind if I encounter anything that helps clear the fog. Then there's what Shar did restore to me. Memories of pain, suffering. Both my own and what I inflicted. It's overwhelming. Like a lifetime's worth of nightmares unleashed all at once upon waking. I can barely untangle one moment from another, not that I even want to. I just know that my heart sinks if I let my thoughts wander to them.
Shar did that for no other purpose but sheer spite.
Shar seeks to break people. To fill their lives with despair so that they will turn to her for relief. Perhaps she thought this would lead me back to her in time. But it won't. I fought too hard to win my freedom. I will not give it up again, no matter how much it hurts.
Do you remember me?
Of course. From the first time I laid eyes on you right until now. That's all safe. I wouldn't surrender even a moment of it.
We're gonna do kisses.
Just the one?
You can have so many kisses. You can have every kiss you've ever wanted. You know my thing. I like to talk about trauma representation. I talk about it from a media perspective, but I also talk about it from the fact that I have complex post-traumatic stress disorder from a very violent childhood and environment. When you do EMDR therapy, so EMDR therapy, for those of you who don't know, it's a therapy, it's specifically for trauma. Oh, I don't think there's anything else for her to say in that room, actually. When you're doing EMDR therapy, a thing that you have to do is you have to think of a good memory or a safe space to create in your mind, because you want to start and end the session there. Because what the hard work of EMDR therapy is, and there are different ways that different therapists do this. For me, I had a therapist who did tapping. I can't show you, my legs aren't in frame, but she would do a tapping rhythm on the top of her thighs. And then I would follow that tapping rhythm. And once she felt like we were in rhythm, we would establish the safe place. She would change the rhythm up a little bit because we were leaving the safe place. And then you essentially walk through your fucked up trauma memories. And for her, she spoke with me since it was repeated events and it was many years of my life. I had to pick, but the suggestion was I pick a memory that I considered either the first or the worst. I picked a worst. I won't share with you what that was. This is such good, there's D&D and there's magic and a goddess, but it's really such a good positioning of what that's like, because EMDR is very hard. It rewired my brain. I believe that it saved my life. But once you start opening those memories, your brain just sort of starts handing you the other ones, the other bad ones that it couldn't let you remember. And the more that you do that, though, you kind of lose chunks of time to your trauma when it's repeated like that. You also do remember the little good stuff, like having a friend or something like that, but it is all buried in that intense amount of anguish. And I've never seen anything do something that felt like that for a character before. As fucked as this all is for Shadowheart, as horrible and as heartbreaking as it is, this is, a lot of people go through this. And as scary and awful as it sounds, there's maybe not a Shar in charge of it. It's just your brain was trying to protect you. And now it's found that you might be safer. This is actually the first step to reclaiming your agency. This is what becoming a person is. If you're someone who experienced repeated trauma or violence. And I really love that this was allowed to be as horrible as it was, but it in no way means that Shadowheart is hopeless. She's dealing with a lot of grief. She's dealing with a lot of trauma. And on top of it all, she just got handed a wealth of really fucked up memories that she has to sort through now. This means her life is beginning. I really think that's beautiful. Sometimes stories about trauma play it a little bit safe, and sometimes it feels like trauma, particularly dealing with child abuse or child torture, it feels like stories sometimes treat it like a sandbox to play in, like this is just a fun sandbox for them to be like, oh, this will be a sick story here. Like you see plenty of movies that do a flashback to a shitty beginning or something like that. I appreciate that this takes the time and the weight to kind of let Shadowheart be devastated and fall apart, and to tell you, well, things are going to be worse in her mind, actually, while she's going through all of this. But yeah, I think it's such a beautiful piece of storytelling. Maybe you've been through it and you've never thought about it that way, or maybe you're someone who's wanting to deal with your trauma, or you just have a feeling in the back of your mind that something's there that you need to probe, and I want you to know that it is like this. It's as helpful as it is hurtful. It's as hopeless as it is hopeful. EMDR therapy, I really, really recommend, and please know that if you need any other resources, I can't go to therapy for all of us, but I can let you know anything that I know. I hope stories like this too might make someone who hasn't experienced trauma, if they cross paths with someone that has, helps them be more sympathetic. It helps them extend their sympathy into empathy, and to maybe know how to be there for a person. The brighter the light, the darker the shadow it casts. Yeah, as she said, you can't have a shadow without some light, so